Welcome to today's topic on finding suitable N95 alternatives during the COVID-19 crisis. So we at Connie Safety realize the challenges that you are faced currently with long lead times on many of the products that you used to get very quickly. It was just a phone call and you'd place your order or you'd do it online and the product would be there in just a few days. So we understand you have an operation to run and alternatives really do need to be considered. We want you to and encourage you to check on availability of your current stock of N95s that you had been getting, but just realize there could be some long lead times. And so looking for alternatives may make a lot of sense. So we are offering these Chinese-made KN95s, and they can and should be considered during our crisis when NIOSH-approved respirators are difficult to obtain. We have them in stock right now. So back on April 3rd of 2020, OSHA put out an enforcement guidance for use of respiratory protection equipment certified under standards of other countries or jurisdictions during the coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic. And basically, this is a memorandum and it provides interim guidance to our compliance officers, basically for OSHA compliance officers, so that they know how to properly enforce the respiratory protection standards and other health standards as it pertains to the shortages of disposable N95 respirators. So one of the first things that they talk about is that all employers need to reassess their engineering controls, work practices, and administrative controls. And I think that's a good thing to heed no matter what. We got to remember respirators are considered a sort of a last resort before, to protect employees that we want to kind of look at. As an example, if you're on a construction site and you're drilling into concrete, are you looking at wetting methods or exhaust system methods? And that can apply in the factory as well. So looking at engineering controls, work practices, and things of that nature. And then they basically have some points of reference that prioritize the efforts to acquire and use equipment in the following order. So first off, they want you to look at NIOSH certified equipment. So if you're struggling to find your current N95s for your workers that you are currently using, you would then look at other NIOSH approved products. Maybe that's going to a half mask and putting on P100s. Maybe it's going to supplied air. I don't know. They just want you to at least investigate, even with your supplier, are there other NIOSH certified equipment that can be used? Then we look at equipment certified in accordance with standards of other countries or jurisdictions. But if it's coming from China, it needs to be a NIOSH certificate holder. And then the third prioritization is equipment certified in accordance with standards of the People's Republic of China, the manufacturer of which is not a NIOSH certificate holder, which is what we are offering, and that is the style of mask, and I'll give you some more information about what that means. And then last but not least, if you can't even find those products, then you can look at resorting potentially to face masks, such as medical mask, procedure masks. I mean, this could be bandanas and other facial coverings that we've seen out there, people using outside the workplace, but also in the workplace. So as part of the enforcement guidance that OSHA has put out that we talked about, and on the previous slide we mentioned the KN95s that we are currently offering and have stock available for you. It mentioned equipment certified in accordance with standards of the People's Republic of China, the manufacturer of which is not a NIOSH certificate holder. And this table, which is listed in this compliance directive, as well as it's listed under the CDC document for interim guidance for conserving and extending filtering face piece respiratory supply in non-healthcare sectors. This is just a partial part of the table, and if you notice, they list China in the performance standard that it pertains is GB 2626-2006. Acceptable product classifications, the KN95 along with the KP95, and it's indicating it may be used in lieu of NIOSH certified products classified as N95. And basically, I think how they look at this is they talk about, you know, certification in accordance with these standards ensure that the device provides similar filtration as NIOSH certified equipment, and accordingly have an assigned protection factor greater than or equal to 10. And that's why they're saying they feel these are suitable replacements for this situation in the COVID crisis only. So I think the point of this is that you can and should be looking at these products now while we are in short supply of the current N95s that you had been getting in the past. So then you might be asking yourself, well, what about fit testing? And I think you know, in the big scheme of things, you got to look at what you were using your previous N95 for in your facility, whether you are a construction site or a general industry, maybe a factory environment. What were you using it for? Were you fit testing before? In other words, were you over the OSHA permissible exposure level for a chemical and were requiring your employees to be fit tested? And so that's kind of looking at voluntary use versus required. And, you know, of course, you're wanting to look at the application of what you're using it for. Certainly, if it's voluntary use or it was just for nuisance dust, or maybe it's just for peace of mind to help employees protect against COVID-19 exposure, you would not be really required to do fit testing. But if you are using it for in place of an N95 in regards to an exposure that the N95 was being used, then certainly you should be considering or looking at fitting this mask. Now, granted, we realize these are ear loop masks, but we have seen people already fit testing with these, and you would fit test as with other N95s, either Bittrex or Saccharin. You know, and don't forget all other requirements of a respiratory protection program. You know, you still need to medically evaluate, because if you have employees that you're mandating wear a respirator, you want to make sure they're medically fit to wear the respirator. You still want to provide training, you know, and again, I encourage you to look at this enforcement guidance document that I'm referring to. And I'll make mention of the link at the very end, again, just so you know where to look for it and read all about it. But they do mention that you want to ensure your users perform a seal check each time they don a respirator, whether it's NIOSH certified or a device certified under standards of other countries or other jurisdictions. And you know, they want you to also train your employees on the procedures for the sequence of donning and doffing the mask to prevent any self-contamination of the device. And don't forget, you know, the written program. I mean, obviously that's all part of a full-blown respiratory protection program. So our ultimate goal is to keep all our employees healthy during this crisis until we can get back to our normal supply levels of NIOSH approved respiratory products. And I think, again, talk to us here at Connie Safety to see if the KN95 is right for you and right for your situation. And give us a chance to talk that through with you and figure out what the best measure is for you to proceed and to stock up on some of these products until we get our good supply inventory of the normal N95s back. So we have a couple different options for you on stock of the KN95s here at Connie Safety. We have both a 5-pack and a 10-pack. You'll notice that the 10 packs indicate FDA approved or actually FDA cleared. And basically, that's part of the emergency use authorization for medical products and related authorities. And basically, it implies that that's can be used in the healthcare settings as well. So good inventory of both of these, and I encourage you to talk either to our customer service rep or your current sales rep. Get more information about these products and availability, and let's see if we can help you get through this crisis with plenty of inventory and to keep your facility running safely. So as I promised, I want to include a link for the enforcement guidance or compliance directive, and actually that's pretty lengthy to look at. So maybe just do a quick Google search under enforcement guidance, April 3rd, 2020, and that will get you to where you need to review the document that I just covered. And again, to make sure that the KN95 alternative is the right solution for you going forward in the near future until we get our supply of N95s back up and running. So thanks again for listening, and I hope you have a good rest of the day.